because I have never seen that movie either. I just knew about it.
Yeah.
So
But it's cool because you you'll never get the feeling back of watching a great movie for the first time. There's nothing like it. It always leaves a lasting impression, and it's always such a great experience.
yeah, like the first suspense, the first time you watch the suspense, it's like it's un you can't it's not matchable the emotion and the feeling you get from it.
For sure, yeah, and it usually sticks with you. You always usually remember the climax, the most important part. You usually remember, or the message. Yeah, so I'm very excited to go into this movie. Welcome everybody welcome to the one person who's listening. Um, Today we're gonna talk about Three Idiots. This was my first time watching it. Kaiser, have you had seen this one before?
I actually haven't seen this movie. No.
So this was your first time as well.
Yeah, I knew of the movie. I knew what the movie was about, but I've never sat through it.
Okay. Um, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like there wasn't any moments where I felt bored. Besides it being a 2 hours and 50 minute, the time actually went really quick. I
I
didn't,
agree.
I didn't feel like it was um, dragging on, you know, which is really good. Um, and I watched this in the morning to start my day, and I was not expecting such an emotional ride too, because there's so many emotional parts uh, to that movie. You didn't really expect because it's as comedy and drama on the IMDb, but you don't expect such an emotional ride, right?
I guess the drama word kind of gives it away, but I know what you mean. It's very hard to mix the two, comedy and drama, but it's
Yes.
I think recently we've been seeing a rise of dark comedy and dark content. Like you'll have, which we've seen a lot more recently, but it's weird to see comedy drama, from because I don't think we've seen it in a while.
Yeah, and to execute it, it's hard to get a good movie like that down. I'm sure there is others, but it's not easy to do.
Definitely.
Um, so just to talk about what the movie is about, basically it's about these three friends who pretty much were together as classmates in college. Um, and it just tells their story of their time in school, um, and their struggles that they overcame to get where they are. And it jumps from future and present.
Well, yeah, and one of the main important theme is that one of the friends has gone MIA. Where did he go? And we are told early on that they they eventually found him after 10 years, as Michael put it. But while going to him, they're they're reminiscing on their past, and the whole movie is set in the past. The future is just a path to the one of the friends who's gone missing. But yeah, most of the movie is in their past, and they just want to get to him because they want to catch up and see where he went and why did he disappear. Picking up the pieces that you left off.
Okay, so yeah, I know. I guess you said you have a lot of things you can relate to this movie, right? What do you want to start with?
Absolutely. Well, unlike you, Michael, I grew up on Bollywood movies, and I happen
Wait,
to
I
be an
did
expert.
too.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. I'll believe that. But on jokes aside, though, did you actually though?
No.
Okay, I knew it, but I'm just gonna be like, okay, when is he gonna cut the act? Because usually when people make comments like that, they say, "Haha, kidding," and I'm like, he's gonna do that any moment. That wasn't happening, so I'm like, okay, I'll believe him. So
Hmm.
yes, I do have an experience with Bollywood movies. I was actually surprised to see Bollywood movies within the list that we're covering, And I'm not gonna shame them or in anything. Like I'm not gonna be a hater, but I will say that Bollywood movies are notorious for uh, stealing content, which everyone does. There's a lot of people who do it, but they're very notorious of basically taking film adaptations of mostly Hollywood or any other like foreign theater, like maybe Korean, and they amalgamate a lot of those movies and they release it to their own public.
But
So
you're
what
saying they would take it and do it their own way as an inspiration, or you're saying they do it to actual steal? Like
it's
they.
it's actual like verbatim copy steal, like the whole content and everything. It's not more of an inspiration. You okay, so our last episode we talked about 2001 Space Odyssey. A lot of people took that and they pay homage to it or they inspire or take an inspiration from it, but they take it and make it their own.
Mm-hmm,
uh, Even in music, when people use samples, they take a bit of it, they add it to their song, and they try to make it their own by taking an inspiration from it. And of course, like I hope which they do is give credit to the original artist,
for
unless they
sure.
don't want to get sued. But they're notorious of doing that, and why they do it is because the most of the money that Indian or Bollywood movies make is within their own market because have such infatuation with movies and their own actors and their own theaters is that they are every movie when it's released is sold out. And if the movie is good, they'll go watch it over and over again.
Yeah,
Like
it's a big
they
market.
love
It's a big
it's
market.
a huge market. So you know what? Because you can get away with it, who's gonna find it? What they would do is that they would steal it and they would just present it to their own thing. And people would rather watch their own actors do it and their own directors do it rather than watch a foreign movie too.
But you know what I will say is, I don't watch as much foreign films as I wish I did, because I know there's so many good foreign films out there. But like, for example, this film had such an authenticity from it that you can totally see it being a Hollywood film. That's how good it is, because it just excelled in every aspect.
Um, yeah, and you know what though? The luxury we get is that when we're given a foreign movie, we're given the best of that foreign country, what they have to offer, and we take it and like, oh my God, this is so good though. And what it may lead to is us looking for the next best similar movie, like, oh, I want to get the same emotions and feelings I got from this movie, and it must be the same thing. But we forget is that it's like uh to watch a movie and like most of the IMDb list is like American movies, Hollywood movies, right? And if I was to put it into analogy, it would be that we are accustomed to having our own natural foods, which we eat every day, and we're comfortable eating them food. Once in a while, we like to go eat out in something unique but may have an enjoyable experience, but it may only be a once in a while thing where we can go out and indulge. But generally, we're more comfortable eating the things that we are comfortable with. So movies
Mm.
of Hollywood are generally what we want to see, and the directors kind of give us that with the little twist of their own, and we're okay with that. That's what we want to see, and that's why when you see a lot of those complaining about movies and book adaptations, you have people who were like, "Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to read about," and when you do a movie when you watch a movie and it's different, you're like, oh my God, why did you change the book? I walked in wanting the same emotion from the book, but you completely ruined it for me, right? Because you gave me something that I didn't order.
Was this a film based on a book? Is that, or no?
I, from my research, because I have this bad habit of doing this, and this is not to defame the thing, because I am not backing away from the fact that this is a very entertaining movie. The 2 hours, like you said, flew, and I thoroughly was entertained though. But this, from what I found, seems to be an adaptation of a show called Paper Chase, which is about students and law school.
Okay.
But
Okay.
whatever. I mean, the thing is, if you're gonna do something that's gonna take the original, and I hope you paid the homage to it, but I know you didn't. But it's whatever. Even if it's you did it, I'm gonna give you the benefit of doubt that this is an original content. And I was your job was to entertain me when I wanted to watch that movie, and you did just that.
Yeah, everyone
So
everyone takes ideas from everybody. So
Absolutely.
I'm not even gonna even discuss that. There's no point even talking about that because all the great movies they've taken inspirations from all these other movies. So um,
But
it's a whole different story, but it's not a big deal.
and I'm gonna say this too. And though I don't want to be digressing into saying that, oh, this is a problem. I'm gonna say that this is actually not your typical Bollywood movie. Like when you think of Bollywood movies, or when somebody even in India or Pakistan with these kind, or Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, which is also a huge audience for these Bollywood movies, or Afghanistan, they when they think of Indian movie, they don't think of this. So this is a different. This is a little different. And I like how you said. I like how you said that it seems like a Hollywood movie. Funny you say that. I would say that this movie is basically uh the butter chicken of Indian food, right? Which is something that is not like it's very westernized to favor a lot of people, but they do
Yeah,
it very well. Like if it tastes good, it feels well, then you're gonna accept it. Like it's good.
one of the main reasons why I like this film so much is because it did a really good job in showing how much pressure society puts on us to be successful, and it paints like an image of how your life should be and what is right, what's wrong, and then you have this character, which is the main character, who he does things his way. He he doesn't like to change the way he is in order to impress others or make others happy. He just kind of lives his life the way he likes to, and for most of the movie while he was um, portraying this character, he seems out of place. He's in class and he's doing things his other students aren't doing. He's acting in a way that you wouldn't expect a student to act. He's just the odd one out. But when it comes to the end of the movie, you look back and say he may have been the odd one out, but he was the only one truly just being himself and honoring honoring his beliefs and honoring whatever it is that he liked and enjoyed doing.
And no, that's a very well take on it, and I agree. I agree with it definitely. And I was gonna say that you made a very good point in the beginning, where you said that the tackling of societal pressure that we all face, and the best characters in movies and the best movies are scenarios which are relatable to us, or characters that we can relate to. And
Yeah,
that movie topic covered a very they through students they covered very important topic of the anxiety students face, and lifestyles of the educational system, and what should be your main message though, right? And you see that out of everybody who followed their passion, they followed something that they care about, they seemed far more content with who they are, comfortable in their own skin, and far more confident, right? But anybody, and there is one character in particular, which is actually my favorite character. They call it Silencer. You see that be- because he wasn't really truly was just a product of the system. He was always this approval seeking guy, and we can talk more about characters later. But you see the contentment of people who follow. You know how Michael said that the odd one out, and he may be in the right path the whole time, though. But you see the contentment in within them, and I think that's one of the main messages too. Which when we cover the messages, we can talk about that.
but speaking on that specific character, the silencer character, how you what did you say? You said that he was always seeking to be in place, right?
He was
Contentment.
following the system guidelines. He no, I think in his mind he had normalized that if I do this, and this, I have figured life out, and the only path to my happiness in life is to
Right.
do as I'm told.
Exactly. He
Uh,
he in his mind thought, okay, this is what I have to do. Uh, Completing this adds to this, and will get me this. He thinks it's like a equation he has to solve, but he doesn't realize that there's so much more variables that has to be thought of and worked on.
Yeah, and life isn't like black or white. It's there's a lot of gray area which we learn in this movie that it doesn't even matter. Like they're like the smartest character in the movie. There is even a mention that one of the characters was as smart as this person, but his fate was different because of the life pressure and circumstances in his life. So that was their only differentiating factor. We just get a glimpse of it, but I think it was very important because it says a lot about like how our circumstances make us who we are, and our out of our three protagonists, I'm going to say that because they're the three main characters. Uh, their situations also showed and developed the character they are. And they obviously break away from it within the movie, but as that how they break away is the most beautiful part of the movie. They covered a very important topic there too.
Yeah, you talk about a movie with layers on top of layers on top of layers. This is pretty much what you want to watch in terms of love, friendship, happiness, life, family, education, um, life lessons, not to be jealous, don't compare yourself to others, don't be afraid to be yourself, courage. This movie had so many layers to it that it's a feel good movie. and
Uh,
and and it makes you feel like you can better yourself in some way or another.
Yes, and I was gonna, and this is what I wrote down too. Is this? It's very uplifting and motivating,
Hmm.
and that's the feeling that you walk away from this movie. And uh, this is, and I'm gonna say that's one of the main message of the movie too. Is to we've covered in our conversation is to be passionate more than anything, um, and be and if you love something, you will work for it. It's you don't force yourself for it because it may not be for you, and that's one of the main messages of the movie, which uh and I think it's like, okay, I got the message, so I don't have to watch it. I think how you get to that conclusion is one of the reasons why this movie is great. And and we've covered we're covering a lot of topics. We're covering a lot of things about like so many different things, and Michael said layers in between layers. But what makes this movie great is how easy and flawlessly is executed and how easy it is to watch, but be also thoroughly engaged with what's going on.
Yeah, you really nailed it there. Yeah, how easy it is, how easy they did that. Yeah, 100% agree for sure. That's really well said. And I will say also, like you said, the best movies are the movies that have the characters that we can relate to. And um, I didn't. I felt like I could relate with pretty much this whole movie. There were this pretty much from beginning to end. I could relate all the scenes. There was something I could relate to. That's the only reason I watch films is, and I immerse myself in these films is to put myself in the main character's shoes, in the supporting role shoes, in these characters' shoes, and go through their emotions as if I was going through the emotions. If they're in a happy state, I put myself in their shoes and I'll go to that state. If they go into a sad state, I'm right there with that character in that moment. That's why you watch films, or that's why I watch films, and that's why it was such an emotional, because there's so much emotion in this film, um, that it brings you up and then it brings you down sometimes, and it was just a roller coaster.
You said it very well in a way that relatability is one of the key things of engagement to anything, and this movie does that very well. And I like how you said that you can relate to every character in different ways, which is absolutely nailed it for me too. Because I would like to after I just want to make one point about drama because I know you talked about the emotional point of view, and I was gonna say one thing about Bollywood movies is that they're they love giving us grief and sadness. They love sad. Like if you can pick out any single Indian movie out of nowhere, like I mean, okay, 90% of them, 95% of them, sorry. 97% of that, final answer. 97% of them will give you a very sad moment where people are going to cry, something's going on, and they just love doing that. It's like in a, you know, those emergency glass, like break the glass for like, oh my God, we're losing attention, and they'll
Yeah.
break the glass to pull out the sad script. They'll take that sad script and paste it in there.
Well,
But you know what?
it's normal though, and I'm not gonna say you're saying it just in Bollywood, but I would say in general, it's the easiest way to create high stakes. Uh, you know what I mean? So it's a normal thing in general. I feel I don't know if that's specifically with the Bollywood scene.
I think they overdo it, but the way you put it at creating it high stakes, I think I'm actually I'm doubting myself now.
Oh,
But
okay. You're saying majority, right? Like not specifically
majority,
this one.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
majority do it. I think
Right.
this
Right. I got
one,
it now. I understand.
I think for this one, it was very well put because a lot of times you'll see like, okay, come on, it's not that of a big deal. But this one, you see it, you're like, okay, you know what? I get it. I understand. I know where you're coming from. So even these situations, uh, were like the high stakes that they create through these drama moments, very understandable and relatable for someone who has ever been in that position like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about any scenes that you liked, a favorite scene or a bogus, not bogus, but or any scenes that what was your favorite scene?
It's a small scene. Okay, there's a lot of iconic scenes in this movie, so I'm gonna choose
Hmm.
something that it's a one line, and when you find it, I will tell you. I will tell you why I like it too.
And before you say that scene, let me just cut in here. I have to say that the main character, Rancho, he's a legend, and
Oh,
this,
oh my God. I actually had a note on how I was going to talk about him. His name is Amir Khan.
yeah,
He is one of the better actors of India. The thing is, though, in a lot of Indian movies, they're more in love with actors for their personality, their looks, their dance moves. But he is essentially like the method actor there. It's like the Gary Oldman or like
yeah,
Johnny Depp. Like he is the one who will study the character, and I'm saying this because it's rare in Bollywood movies, and I'm not saying they don't have great actors. I'm saying that they have to cater to the needs of the public, and the public wants to see the characters and the actors they like.
yeah,
Doesn't They don't have to be good.
for sure. Yeah, I say he's a legend because I related to him way more than I thought I would, and it's just so many of the characters, specifically talking about the character now, so many of the characters' beliefs and goals and just way of thinking, I could relate to, and so that's why for me personally it was nice to see. Anyways, what was your favorite scene, short scene?
Okay, Michael, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm gonna ramble on for my favorite scene though. So why don't you go first? Sorry.
Okay, all right. My favorite scene. I mean, I didn't put too much time in looking, but like, I remember this one, and I remember I laughed, and it stood with me. Basically, the when they storm the wedding, and they are
Good
eating
one.
this food, and the main character goes up to this woman, and he's like, you shouldn't marry that. And she's gonna get married, and he's saying, I shouldn't marry that guy because. He's pretty much a guy who just entertains himself with money and puts all these price tags on things, and gets in the relationship for the wrong reasons. Doesn't really value love and all that stuff, and she's just blown away by this, and it was a very funny and innocent scene that I thought it was pretty good
No, that was a funny one of the funny scenes in the movies too. There's a lot of little small scenes in there, and
because that was like used as a callback in other scenes later on, but that was the first time it was introduced with this because it's later called back in other scenes about this guy being. It's just little messages, underlying messages of why not to be with people, but that was the first time introduced, and then they brought it back in other ways. But yeah,
and I like how you mentioned this scene though, and I've always had this conversation with my other friends, and I've had it with you too, Michael, where there are comedy which is forced by creating unnecessary circumstances and unusual circumstances, which we would watch and be like, okay, that doesn't happen in real life. So we're kind of like, we're like, okay. I don't know how. I mean, I know they're trying to make it funny, and in this funny world, things happen to make things funny, but they're not really realistic. But why I liked a lot of the scenes in this movie was the funny scenes were not forced. They were within the realms of possibilities of what could happen, and that's why they're funny. Like they weren't
Mm-hmm.
really stretching the comedy to force it down our necks. Uh, the
Right.
the fact that they crashed that wedding, I can tell you 100% that there people crash weddings in India, Pakistan all the time for free food. And there's people's actually out there. I kid you not. If there is a neighborhood wedding, they probably won't eat the whole day because the food at the wedding is far more better because the wedding organizers are trying to impress the people within around them too. And that's it's an important topic because you hear a line too where the guy's like, "Yo, you're not gonna do this. What would that person say?" And the guy's like, "Well, did that person raise me? I don't really care what he has to say." And it's a scene. It's a very important scene in the movie too. And that why they do it too is they have big fancy parties, great dishes, and people know that you're gonna get great quality food and a lot of it in these places. So there's a lot of crashers at
I
weddings.
I think I found a new hobby, right? Crashing weddings for food. I think that's sounds like a good time for me.
I think they made a straight to DVD movie about it too. That could be us, but only for food, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but no, that was a good scene, and I love how you put it. Sorry, I love that you included it. Sorry. For my favorite scene, unless you have another favorite scene.
No, no, no.
Okay. So my favorite scene was there's a small line in there, and I want you to focus. I want you to look hear it when you see it. He's like, "Sir, they're still writing." And when bro, I died laughing because that is 100% true. That guy was my favorite. His name is Silencer, and I mentioned him early on too. He was my favorite character because I don't think you could portray kids like that in school so perfectly. It's
Yeah.
not only that I succeed, I make sure no one else and everyone else
Right.
does worse than me.
Right.
And bro, he covered that topic. He nailed it because okay, so I grew up in Pakistan and I studied in Pakistan too. And yes, they mentioned in the movie too, there is a lot of stress and pressure put on kids for education. Yes, they force you to memorize and not really understand the content, which is very important theme in the movie too. I remember I had this teacher who taught me photosynthesis. Michael, how did you learn about photosynthesis?
I believe I learned that briefly in school, but I don't really remember how. I don't know what.
Do you, if you can you explain to me photosynthesis? I know it's
Ba-
random, sorry.
Basically, what photosynthesis is when the plants attract sun, and they use that to, in simple terms, grow. To simplify it, am I right or am I wrong?
Look, I'm not looking for the correct answer because the thing is, though, the reality is no one's going to ask you that question in your life, though. But
I just
it's
made a fool out of myself, didn't I?
no, no, no. It's fine because we're not plant enthusiasts. We're film enthusiasts, and that's what we're doing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change our life, okay? But I
No,
will
but
say this
no,
though.
wait. Photosynthesis is the ongoing changes that happen, right? That.
Okay, now you're embarrassing yourself.
I'll shut
So
up.
I'm gonna say this though. Do you see that struggle you had to go in your memory to look for the meaning, say the right thing, and you were like connecting the sentence to give me a proper answer? This is why I know this at the off my heart. And you can ask me 10 years from now, I'll give you the same answer because I learned this in grade 4. Okay. And so this is going to be what? Over 10 years. Okay.
Like a
Over 50,
hundred years ago.
100 years ago. Okay. Uh, Photosynthesis is the process in which plants make their food. This is how I learned it in Pakistan. And this is how I remembered it until now. She spent 30 minutes just saying that line in this melodic way. Photosynthesis is the process in which plants make their food. Bro, she said this for 30 minutes and I will never forget it. And that's how they taught it. And a lot of the things that when I had to write answers in exams for in Pakistan, I had to give verbatim textbook, no references. What does the textbook say? And copy all of it down. If you try to write down anything like, okay, in short, what I'm trying to say is this, you're gonna lose marks because they have a space guideline and a word guideline of your answer. They don't really care if you've answered it. You got to meet the space they've provided you for the answer because they want you to write down the whole paragraph verbatim. That's how. And so
Interesting.
there's a word they use in there called rata. Rata means learning something verbatim without even recognizing it. And they mention it as a way to mock silencers, saying, "Oh, this guy's gonna keep doing rata." Rata is basically that, like learning something verbatim without understanding it.
Yeah.
And
It's funny
yeah.
that you mentioned that little line. I remember exactly that line. I remember it was a funny moment, and actually, you with that, it's funny enough. I was trying to remember my favorite scene, and I still stick with that one as one of my favorites. But I laughed a lot more on the scene that came right after the one you just mentioned, when the guy is like asking these students, "Do you?" Or no, they're saying, "Do you know our names? Do you know who we are?"
And I love how he
And
said it with authority too, because he's trying to
yeah,
be tough.
yeah, yeah. That was my favorite scene of the whole film for sure, hands down. You just reminded me. That one had me laughing, and it was so cleverly done. It's like, you don't know our names, right? And then he's
Well,
like scrambles all the papers, and he had to.
that scene is overdone. I think it's a copied originally from a commercial. I
Oh,
think
okay.
was yeah,
Who cares?
but who
Honestly, it
cares?
doesn't.
Who
It
cares?
doesn't matter. It doesn't
If
matter.
it fit well, they wanted to add that gag in there. This is not the only first movie who's done it. A lot of movies have copied that scene, but you know what? I
Look,
don't
I
care.
I
It
had
was
never really seen anything like that. So for me, that was really hilarious to see. And I personally don't care if they copied it, because, like you said earlier in the start of this episode, that people copy each other all the time, and
yeah,
it's
we take
normal.
it.
And we like to think we don't, but we do.
We're a product of inspirations from others. What we
Yeah,
anything original is amalgamation of things someone else has already done.
yeah.
Um, I was gonna say this though. Also, the thing is that, and even the concept of like being an engineer in India, a lot of times for people in India, Pakistan, they want security because they have these financial situations. They know that being a salaried employee gives you the comfort and the security that you're gonna have money coming into you, and you're gonna be a bigger person in society, and a bigger person in those countries mean that you have more people under you.
Hmm.
And that's why you're gonna notice that a lot of people in like Western countries too, a lot of them are doctors and engineers, is because they want these are the households they come from where they kind of ingrained in their brain that's what you're gonna be. You're gonna do this because I want you to be uh, safe. I don't want this is the way they can protect their kids is to put them in positions where like no, you got to be the best doctor, the best engineer, so your income is safe. And is their happiness considered? Is their passion considered? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's a very important theme that they covered in this movie too.
I also
Uh,
have a bogus scene.
oh God, I got one too. But go yours.
Um, it was a very cliche scene. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is the only part of the movie where I'm like, oh, here it is. There it goes. And basically, it was right after when the baby is delivered,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
he
my
just
scene.
walks away. The hero saves the day, and he still thinks he's not worthy of being there.
Oh
He
yeah,
just
yeah.
walks away. He's like, yeah, I have to go because he was mad at me. And you just not like, all right, buddy, where are you going? You're gonna come back. We get it. You're gonna walk away
And the thing is
and
though,
pout and be like all sad. Like, we get it. Yeah, yeah. Just stop. Here it comes. Here it comes.
actually, the whole scene for me was because it's funny that you said that. But the scene before that was in my bogus scene because they're like, first of all, they pull the computer from his place and like the wires don't come out. And I'm sure there's a Cinema Sins video format, but
I, I,
we're gonna.
I
Sorry.
thought about that too. That thought came across my head as well.
And then when they're like cheering like, come on, like, bro, this is not your kid in a freaking sports game. It's a newborn baby. Keep it down. Like, like, chill. You know what I mean? That scene kind of pissed me off, bro, because I'm like, yo, if my baby was born in those circumstances, I'm like, bro, a next man who speaks is getting punched in the face, bro. I don't want my baby to grow deaf or be harmed by this. Um, and I think they were wet and they were going through circuits, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for that. But that being loud when that baby was born pissed me off, bro. Just keep it down.
That I
Uh,
didn't really think about. I'll be honest.
bro, they were cheering the kid on,
That
bro.
wasn't crossing my mind in that
My
moment.
g- Yo, it went from a baby being delivered to a scene from Airbud where they're cheering a dog on, like, yo, he's gonna if I cheer louder, he'll understand what we're trying to do.
Air Bud. Air
Greatest movie of all
Bud.
time.
Yeah.
I'm digressing a lot, and I'm talking. I feel like I can uncover a lot though, but I think I've covered enough.
Yeah. I think so too. And uh by this point, that one listener who was listening in the beginning has stopped listening. So
Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
we are just talking within ourselves now. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
I'll start with the conclusions of everything we've covered. We've talked about the themes of the movie. We talked about the characters and how well we can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to watch, and how the 2 hours flew. But me personally, I skipped the songs because I don't like them. Uh,
Wait, you
I don't know
skipped
if
it
you
during the
skipped.
film?
Yeah, I skipped them because I have the option to do 10-second forward on
Oh yeah, you should be four idiots, three idiots, and this guy right here is on.
another clown, eh?
No, I don't skip anything. The song could have been half an hour. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the songs. I never listened to Bollywood music or any of that sort of music, and I really enjoyed all the songs and all the music.
Listen, buddy, I'm not watching Camp Rock. I'm watching a movie, okay? Uh,
All right, you take that back and let's go home. All right.
shout out to Impractical Jokers. So, Michael, would you watch this movie again?
Yes, I would. And introducing a new segment of overrated and underrated. At the end,
Hmm.
we'll say if we think it's overrated or underrated through the rating system on IMDb. But yes, I would watch this again. Um, and especially I would watch it with you. And once the songs came up, I would watch it, the whole thing, and then rewind it so we can watch it again because you missed it the first time.
Okay, I'll be sure. We'll be sure. We'll be viewing it from Guantanamo Bay. Um,
Okay, so the movie has an 8.4. I'm going to say it is underrated. I'd give it a 9.
you know what, dude? I'm gonna go with you, and but it's perfectly appreciated. It is appreciated in theaters, in cinemas, and the movie lovers,
For
and
sure.
I'd say it deserves the love it gets.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for that one person who was listening and stopped halfway through. Um, you are the reason why we keep talking about the movies. Yeah, thanks for watching or yeah, listening and watching, and we will talk about the next movie next time.
Thank you so much.